So as we go through today, just remember that next week, Wednesday, so next week, Tuesday, we got a formative. Next week, Wednesday, you need to bring your Chromebook. Next week, Friday, is the test. Okay? Figure out what's behind there. So, list all the possible zeros. Well, what are the factors of 3? 1 and 3. What are the factors of 2? 1 and 2. So that means that my list then of possible zeros is going to be plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 1/2, plus or minus 3/2. Agree with the list. Okay. Then it asked us to find all of the zeros. So let's find all of the zeros then. So let's go with 1 probably first. Anybody try 1 yet? Did anybody find a 0 yet? 3? Positive 3?
Yep.
Okay. So if we go 3, then that's going to be 2, -5, -4, and 3. 2, 6, 1, 3, -1, -3, 0. Okay? So I can factor this now. F of x now factors to be what? If 3 is a 0, what's the factor? X minus 3. What's left over?
I have a question. Can I come in here now? Because I have an appointment. I don't want to miss this class.
I'm guessing by the fact that you're giving me the puppy dog eyes, and by the fact that you've already pretty much taken over this desk, that I don't have much choice in this area.
Thanks.
2x squared plus x minus 1. Factorable, not factorable. Factorable, not factorable. Does that work? Yep. Okay. Three zeros, -1, 1/2, and 3. So the 2 parts to the answer are there, and way back up here as the list. Okay. Agree? Love it. So, yesterday, we wrote these all down. we first find the possible rational zeros by dividing factors of p by factors of q. Okay? Take all the factors of the constant divided by all the factors of the lead coefficient. That gives us our total possible list. Then we're going to use synthetic division to try and find one of those zeros, or two of those zeros, or however many of those zeros. The shortcut that I was leading to yesterday is right here in red. We can use a graphing utility, and we can simplify that. Now you may be saying to yourself, Self, I don't have a graphing calculator. Well, what do you all have? Yeah, brain for one, but you all have? You guys all have a Chromebook? Is there a website on there somewhere? Desmos. Okay, you guys all got Desmos. Okay? So you guys all got Desmos if you need to at home. Okay? And I'll show you today how that definitely will shorten up your choosings or your where to hone in on your zeros. If you look at the graph, you shouldn't have to guess and check as to which one's a zero anymore. Okay? Factor, use the quadratic formula, find the remaining ones, and then we also always, because your math teacher is a show work kind of a person, we're going to have to show work to see how we found all those zeros, because that's just what we do. Okay? So, if you want to take a moment here to either one, get out your Chromebook, if you wanted to do Desmos, or if you want to use the graphing calculators, you can do that. However, I will tell you next Friday, no Desmos. Just so you know. Okay? But if you want to learn how to do Desmos now, and then maybe tomorrow or next week, start using the graphing calculators, that's totally up to you. Okay? Alright, so here we go. So let's still work our steps, and then I'll show you where we can bring in the graphing calculator too. Okay? So the first step was we need to create our list, right? Okay? So what are the factors of 42? 2, 1. 21 and 2. 3. There's 21 and 40. 21's 1, yep.
Oh, 7. Well, 6.
8 is not a factor of 42.
Let's see. Let's do it. 13.
Not 13.
14.
14. Missing 1.
42.
42. What are the factors of 2?
1 and 2.
Okay. So my list is 1, 2, 3, 6. Oops, I almost put 4. 6, 7. I'm doing hashtags. 6, 7, 14, 21, 42, and 1 half,
3 over 2.
3 halves,
7 over 2.
7 halves,
21 over 2.
Agree. Kids, you're giving me a confused look. Agree? Okay? Because we don't have to do the even ones, because the even ones, 2 divided by 2 is 1. We already got it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We already got it. 14 divided by 2 is 7. We already got it. 42 divided by 2 is 21. We already got it. Okay? Alright? So we took our list, or we took infinite amount of possible zeros, narrowed it down to, what do we got now? 3, 6, 8, 16, 24. Okay, so we still got a pretty big list. We got 24 possible zeros now. Okay, so now, yesterday, if this was yesterday, we would have to sit there and we'd have to, happy birthday, Maddox! We'd have to sit there and we'd have to, we'd have to go through and we'd have to synthetically divide them all and divide them all and divide them all and divide them all. Okay, alright? Well, what we're going to do today now is now we're going to go into our graphing calculator. And we're going to create a graph. And that graph is going to be our function. So we're going to type that in as is. 2x to the, oops, I forgot the 2 part. 2x to the 4th plus 5x to the 3rd minus 18x squared minus 19x plus 42. I certainly hope that you guys aren't putting up their calculators that don't work, because then the next people that get to use them don't have to go through the same thing. That would be the dumbest thing that you could do. Okay? So we put that up there, okay? And we get that, right? Okay? With me on that. Or if you're on Desmos, you got something that looks like that. Yes, no, maybe. Okay? Love it. Okay? So, what that did is that showed us, now according to our graph, what that did is that showed us what? What? Where the zeros are, right? Because zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. So there's 4 of them. There's 1 there, there's 1 there, there's 1 there, and there's 1 there. Okay? So, what number from our list should we try? -2, all right? Do it. What's wrong with this one? This one works.
Oh.
Oh. Is -2 a 0? Yes? No? Maybe? No? -2, 5, -18, -19, 42. -2, -4, 1, -2, -20, 40, 21, -42, 0. Is -2 a 0?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, -2 is a 0. What does that mean? What's the factor? X plus 2 is the factor. Okay? So that means that I can write f of x now as x plus 2 times what? 2x cubed
Plus x squared minus 20x plus 21.
Do I have any way to solve a cubic yet? No, I don't, right? Okay? So I used that one. So I used this one. So 1/2.
Yeah.
Will 1/2 here? Let me get rid of this stuff now. Will 1/2 be a 0? Yes. We all agree that 1/2 is going to be a 0.
1.5.
That's a big difference.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 1.5.
Because 1/2 would be right here. So is 1/2 going to be a 0?
1.5.
No, that's not my question. Is 1/2 going to be a 0?
No.
No, because it doesn't cross right there. Okay? So now which one did you want to try?
1.5.
What, I don't have 1.5 on.
1.5.
I don't have 1.5. I have 3/2. Yeah. Yeah, I have 3/2. Okay? Which is what I got to try because that's on my list. Okay? So now let's try. We'll go into orange here. 3/2. What am I going to try 3/2 into?
The second one. The first one. Does it matter?
Yeah, it matters big time.
The first one. First one.
Nope.
That one? Yeah, that one. The new one.
What's the new one?
The 2x to the third plus x to the second minus 20x plus 21.
I'm going to try it into this blue one, right? Yep. Okay, so that's what we're going to go into now. 2, 1, negative 20, and 21. 2. What is 2 times 3/2? 3. 4. What is 4 times 3/2? 6. What is negative 14 times 3/2?
Negative 21.
Negative 21. Is 3/2 a 0? So what does that mean?
X minus 3/2.
Is a So now I can write f of x as x plus 2 times x minus 3/2 times what?
2x squared plus 4x minus 14.
Do I have a way to factor 2x squared plus 4x minus 14? Well, first off, is it factorable? How's it factorable?
The last one?
Yeah. Nope.
I don't think so. It is?
Oh, you gotta take it 2 out.
Take a 2 out.
Oh.
Now is it factorable? Two numbers that multiply together to be -7 and add to be +2. Nope. Can't do it anymore. So it's completely factored now. We've made it to bus stop number 2. We're completely factored. Now we want to get all the way to bus stop number 3. So what do? How? I set all of the factors equal to 0. Do I have to set the 2 equal to 0? No, because 2 doesn't equal 0, so I'm okay there. So we go x plus 2 equals 0. That gives me my -2, 1. That was our first one that we found. X minus 3/2 equals 0. So x equals 3/2. That was our second one that we found. X squared plus 2x minus 7 equals 0. Since that's not factorable, how do I find those zeros? Quadratic formula. Okay? Alright? So we've got x here equaling -2 plus or minus the square root of 4
Oh no.
minus 4 times 1 is 4 times -7 is -28. All over 2 times 1 is 2. 4 minus -28. Is the square root of 32 simplifiable?
Yes.
To what?
Take the square root of 4 out, which would be 2. So it'd be -2 plus or minus 2. And the square root of, oh, actually, you can take more out, which is 8.
Actually, you can take more out because there's a
Yeah,
16.
That's too much.
No, it's really not. Square root of 32 simplifies to what?
It's 6 with the square root of 2. Or no, 4.
4 square root of 2. Yep. Is that fraction simplifiable or not?
Divide everything by 2.
Divide everything outside by 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So -2 divided by 2 is -1. 4 divided by 2 is -1 plus minus 2 square roots of 2. Okay. So the 4 zeros that we found for this one were -2, +3/2, and -1 plus minus 2 square roots of 2. That last one has 2 in it. -1 plus 2 square roots of 2, and -1 minus 2 square roots of 2.
So the $2 on the outside doesn't really mean anything then?
Because set it equal to 0, and what do you get? You know what I mean? 2 equals 0. If it were 2x out there, then that's important. Okay? Because then 2x equals 0 means that x equals 0. Okay? Alright? What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to find me all of the zeros of that. So my list is going to be factors of 25 is going to be 1, 5, and 25. Factors of 1 are 1. So that narrows down my list to plus or minus, oops, it almost did hashtag again. Plus or minus 1, 5, and 25. Okay? So this one's not too bad. We could have done this one old school. Okay? But we've got the graphing calculators. We got the shortcut now. So that tells us, shabam, there we go. Right? So what 2 zeros do we have for this one? -1 and 5. Okay? So I'm going to try -1 first, and then we'll also try +5. So if I do -1 first, that's going to go into 1, 0, -16, -40, -25. -1, -1, -1, 1, -15, 15, -25, 25, 0. Okay? So there's my first one, which means that x plus 1 is my factor. Agree with that? Okay? Then from there, I'm going to put, what did we say our other one when we were going to try was 5? 5 into 1, -1, -15, -25. These right there. 1, 5, 4, 25, 25, 0. That's going to give me x minus 5 as a factor. So now f of x can be written as x plus 1, x minus 5, and x squared plus 4x plus 5. Yes? X squared plus 4x plus 5 factorable?
Yeah.
Yes?
So,
You think so?
yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
To what?
X plus 1, x minus 5.
Problem with that is then you've got -5 times +1, which is,
Oh, never mind, negative.
what was that?
Never mind, it's negative.
Okay. Tyler, how else could we know that that's not factorable? Based on the picture up front, or the picture on your Desmos right there.
Mine came out pretty weird.
Okay.
It's like, goes up to like 18 and then a half. So, I get scales on it.
Okay. So looking at my picture right up there,
Yeah.
okay, How do I know that that's not factorable? What? Only 2 zeros, right? If it were factorable, there'd be 4. Okay? So, what kind of zeros are the blue one going to produce? Imaginary ones, because it doesn't cross anywhere else. Okay? Let's see. Okay? So we've got x plus 1 equals 0, so that gets me x equals negative 1. We got x minus 5 equals 0, so that gets me x equals 5. And then we've got x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to quadraticify that one. Negative 4 plus minus the square root of 16 minus 20 all over 2. That's going to be negative 4 plus minus the square root of negative 4 all over 2. Negative 4 plus minus 2I over 2. I mean negative 4, oops, not negative 4, tap the brakes. Negative 2 plus minus I. Okay? Now, depending upon your directions, if your direction said find all the real zeros of the function, the real zeros would be negative 1 and 5. If it said find all the zeros, then you've got to add in the imaginary ones too. Okay? So reading directions is going to be key from now on, because I could have said factor this one completely, and then we would have stopped at this rainbow colored f of x up here. I could have said give me the list, and then we would have stopped way back up here at the list. Okay? If I would have said give me the real zeros, then we would have stopped right there. And that would have been our answers. If we said, give me all the zeros, then that's my final answer. Okay? You gotta know what is being asked of you in order to go forward. Okay? Okay? You gotta know what the question is before you can give an answer. Is probably a better way of saying that. Your homework tonight is going to be a worksheet. I wouldn't be yesing it too much, but okay.